Martin family mysteriously disappeared in 1958, and to this day, Oregon State Police have no idea where they went. Days before Christmas, a family of 5 from Oregon mysteriously disappeared. Can we rule out murder? 5 members of the Martin family left their home in the afternoon of December 7, 1958, in their Ford station wagon. They had driven to the Columbia River Gorge in search of evergreens to adorn their Portland, Oregon, house for the upcoming holiday. They apparently intended to return quickly, as they left the dishes in the sink and the laundry in the washer. But the Martins never came back to their house. They vanished on their drive that fateful winter day and were never seen again. On December 7, 1958, 5 members of the Martin family mysteriously disappeared. Only Donald Martin made it out alive. Investigators spent years looking for the 5 missing people. Was it the Columbia River that swept away the Martins? Or perhaps Donald Martin, the eldest child and lone survivor, had them killed? Kenneth Martin, 54, was last seen dressing up as Santa and handing out candy canes to his neighbors at a holiday party the night before he vanished. The Martin family went on a Sunday drive, but Kenneth still hadn't put away the Santa outfit from the day before. According to the Charlie Project, Barbara Martin, his 48-year-old wife, had forgotten to remove a load of laundry from the washing machine. Barbie, their eldest, started her freshman year of high school this year. Virginia, 13, and Sue, 11, clambered into the back seat of the cream and red automobile with her for the afternoon drive. Before they vanished, the Martins stopped at least twice. About 60 miles outside of Portland, at a diner in Hood River, Oregon. They drove 40 miles up the Columbia River to Cascade Lurks to fill up their gas tank. However, as they refueled, the family mysteriously vanished. When they didn't come back to Portland as expected, their pals reported them missing. But in the case of the Martin family's disappearance, there were scant hints. The police had no idea where the family of 5 could have gone. The police looked every way for the missing family but couldn't even locate their station wagon. 2 weeks after the Martin family vanished, the first clue arrived in their mailbox. A gas station receipt proving that Kenneth Martin had signed for 5 gallons of gas on the day they went missing. Since then, the Martin family has not made any withdrawals from their bank account. Cascade Lurks was the last place anyone had seen the family, and that's where the receipt led the police. It appeared like another dead end when the discovery yielded no new, useful information. As reports of sightings of the family members appeared in media outlets across the country, hundreds of people called and wrote in with leads. One listener even reported having a vision of the family floating in water by a totem pole. Despite these clues, authorities were unable to locate the missing family. The forests within a 50-mile radius of Portland were still being searched by the authorities. Then, in February of 1959, they found tire tracks that matched the family's 1954 Ford station wagon on a bluff above the Columbia River. The train tracks, however, appeared to continue straight down the edge. Did the Martins, who disappeared, back into the river? The Army Corps of Engineers dropped the water behind Bonneville Dam in an effort to locate the vehicle. Unfortunately, the quest was fruitless. There were months between each new development in the case. 5 months after their disappearance, in May of 1959, Virginia and Sue's bodies were discovered in the Columbia River. The coroner determined that drowning was the cause of death. But the decomposing bodies of the girls made it impossible to determine what caused the odd hole in the skull found in Virginia Martin's body. In the meantime, Kenneth, Barbara, and Barbie were still nowhere to be found. What happened to them? Or did they disappear without a trace? Donald Martin, the oldest kid, was 28 years old and serving in the Navy when his family vanished, leaving him as the only known survivor. His previous assignment sent him across the country to New York from Portland. Donald did not go back for the funeral for his sisters, though he did come back to handle the family's affairs. According to KOIN6, Donald informed Detective Walter Graven, "I know of no one who would murder my folks or no reason for it, but I don't see how it could have been an accident." Graven devoted a great deal of time and energy to locating the missing Martins, and he reached a disturbing verdict. Donald may have had something to do with their abduction. Graven had written in his notebook, "It had to be planned out by." He crossed out the suspect's name next to the phrase "no one else with a motive." One detective used computer enhancement to determine that the scratched-out name was Donald. A bloody revolver found beside a stolen automobile that had been abandoned in Cascade Lurks, where the Martins were last seen alive, also pointed to Donald as a suspect in their abduction. It was completely coated with dried blood from whatever they had clubbed, Bonnie Cox, whose husband found the rifle, said. They presumably killed whatever it was with a club, despite the Cox's best efforts to have the local sheriff take the revolver into evidence. The sheriff never followed through. Eventually, investigators made an unexpected connection between the gun and Donald Martin. Donald had worked at a local sporting goods store a few years before his family disappeared, but he was dismissed for allegedly stealing products, including the revolver that was discovered in the area. Now, since he wasn't getting any leads, Detective Graven wrote in his notes, "Even though I can get no cooperation from anyone, there is no murder that can't be solved." The mystery of the whereabouts of the Martin family remained unresolved by Graven. The year 1988 marks the year of his passing. Finally, Donald Martin passed away in 2004. The Martins' disappearance has been unsolved for over 60 years. The Martins, what became of them? There are two main hypotheses that may be drawn from the facts. Kenneth Martin may have backed over a bluff after filling up with 5 gallons of petrol, sending the family station wagon tumbling into the Columbia River below. There's also the darker possibility that the Martins were indeed victims of some sort of crime. The last surviving family member has ties to a bleeding gun and a stolen car, painting a grim picture. Was Donald Martin, though, a part of this? With 3 family members still missing, it seems doubtful that the disappearance of the Martin family will ever be solved until new evidence is uncovered.